Hello, so you may have seen that I am running a 7-day nervous system reboot and we start on Monday. So if you haven't already signed up, there will be a link in the words with this video. So why is it important to settle our nervous system down when it comes to releasing weight, working with emotional eating, binge eating? Weight, binge eating, emotional eating, they're all symptoms. They're not the actual problem. And this is where we start to go wrong, because when we start looking at our weight, or we want to sort our emotional eating out, or we want to sort our binge eating out, we focus on the thing, we focus on the weight, we focus on the behaviour as being the problem. And it's not the problem. The problem is not your weight. The problem is not your binge eating. They are just symptoms of something that's going on deeper rooted. And a dysregulated nervous system is part of that's what's going on under the surface. So often when we're looking at our weight or binge eating, we look at it very much from the conscious mind, the logic mind. And so we look for strategies to release weight, lose weight, stop binge eating, stop emotional eating. And quite often those strategies rely on willpower. And willpower only lasts so long. So actually what we find is the traditional approach for weight loss or stopping emotional eating actually create even more stress within the nervous system, because quite often what we do is we try to change too much too quickly, and it just stresses us out, even if you don't actively feel stressed with what's going, because it's really easy to create this illusion that going onto a diet, changing how we're eating, especially if you're seeing the scales come down. But also we do tend to feel physically better because we're eating better, but also we have that whoosh of mental and emotional well-being because we're doing something about it. But often that's quite short-lived, and the path that we're taking to do that is actually on a subconscious level, on a nervous system level, creating even more stress. So if you're somebody who's been round and round that dieting cycle a number of times, and each time you try it, the amount of time that you manage to stick to it gets less and less, that's exactly why. So you will hear me say over and over again, my approach is let's stop pulling people out of the river. Okay, let's go upstream, find out why they're falling in. And nervous system regulation is part of that, going upstream and finding out why you're falling in. And of course, the beautiful thing about nervous system regulation is we don't need to go back in time. We don't need to search through your history and experiences to understand what's happened and what's the root of your weight and your relationship with food. And of course, this 7-day focus isn't about weight, releasing weight. It's about so much more than that. When we start to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the benefits are huge in terms of it improves sleep. It does improve, it's the rest or digest phase. So it will help with digestion, but it helps with moods. If you're someone who's an overthinker, calming your nervous system down, it's going to massively help with that. But it's not going to be done in 7 days. This is a practice. And what I'm going to be teaching over the 7 days are a number of really simple techniques that if you start to integrate them into your daily routine, you will start to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which means you're going to feel much calmer. And when we're operating from a calmer space, that gives us the capacity to think and make better choices for ourselves. Because quite often, especially when it comes to our weight, we're operating from our fight or flight response. We get up in the morning, we put something on, it doesn't fit, or we look at a picture of ourselves and we don't like what we see, or someone makes a comment. So we're operating from a place of stress and overload. And often when we're operating from that headspace more than anything, we're not making rational, logical decisions. We're making decisions from what I call the outer child, that stressed out space where it's often about quick fixes, the instant gratification that's going to move us away from that pain that we're feeling to put us into a place of feeling pleasure. That's how simplistic our brains are, really. We avoid pain, we seek pleasure. Only for most of us, the way we approach weight loss, by removing half of the foods that are actually keeping us afloat in our lives, that creates a pain, even though the conscious mind believes it's the opposite. So the 7-day nervous system reboot is all about, I'm going to be talking more about the impact of an overloaded nervous system, a dysregulated nervous system. And I'm also going to be talking to you about the power of some really simple techniques and the ripple effect that they have in our lives. So this is how I work with clients with their weight. You know, I incorporate psychotherapy, talk therapy, and hypnosis. But a big part of the work that I do, even with the inner and outer child work, outer child is the ego. It is the part that like has that extra glass of wine to cope, eats that extra bit of cake, runs up the credit card bill. It's all these instant gratification behaviours that we've learned because we live in a world that's really busy, that's stressing our nervous system out. So we're constantly trying to find that quick fix to feel better in the moment. And inner child work is like that, is that core, that very core of us, you know, the emotional part of us that often we're neglecting, the needs that we have that we're often disconnected from, we've abandoned. So the 7-day nervous system regulation is all around teaching you some really simple techniques. If you start to do them every single day, you're going to feel better. It really is that basic. And when we feel better, we make better choices. Also, when it comes to weight release, when we're in fight or flight a lot of the time, which believe me, a lot of us are, I talk about chaos in our comfort zones a lot. And what I mean by that is we live busy lives. You know, the internet, we work long hours, there's an abundance of things available to us. So we're living very unaligned to how we're meant to live as human beings. And that is causing stresses to our nervous system. So when it comes to weight, when we have a stressed nervous system, we've got a lot of cortisol running through our bodies, and heightened levels of cortisol create cravings. It also stops us releasing weight. So the more you can calm the nervous system down, it's called rest or digest. Your digestive system's going to work better. You're going to feel calmer. You're going to have more access to what I call the adult self, the part of you that kind of knows what you need to do to feel better, but without the resistance, because it's that resistance that kicks in when we're in this heightened state of alert. So hopefully that all makes sense. Anyway, if you're not signed up, you need to get yourself signed up because it's going to be bloody brilliant. Got some great guest speakers coming on as well. Of course, I'm going to be talking about my work and what I do throughout the 7 days. Be crazy not to. So it's an opportunity to find out a little bit more about my work. And if you want to come and work with me, that would be ace. So link in the comments to this video. Hopefully it makes a bit more sense. Love to have you on board. 100 already.